The battle quietly began. Velgrind waited until she had confirmed that the airship fleet behind her retreated to safety. As soon as she confirmed their retreat, she would move. It's been too long, Feldera. I'll ask just in case, will you not come to our side? If you do, I'll teach you how to properly use your strength. You can even rampage to your heart's content, you know? Naturally, the location will be left up to us though. Kahahaha. Dearest sister, the old me is no more. I have already perfected my strength control. Besides, simply raging about isn't fun anymore. I'm an adult now, my sister. Those are some cheeky words you say. Very well then. If that's the case, then I'll be testing how much you have grown. The words they exchanged were few. After all, Velgrind knew that Feldera would not heed to any negotiations, so she prepared for battle without hard feelings. Originally, the plan was for Rudra to dominate and control Feldera, so persuasion was pointless. As such, she needed to quickly weaken Feldera, and suppress him until Rudra arrived. Thinking so, Velgrind made a preemptive strike by releasing her burning breath. It was a single thin beam of concentrated light, a super high-speed breath attack that assaulted Feldera. Normally, due to the effects of Feldera's heat nullification, he would not take heat damage. However, without hesitating, Feldera avoided Velgrind's breath. Oh. I didn't think you'd dodge that. This just might be my personal opinion, but have your skills improved a little perhaps? Quahahaha. Your breath attack probably has accelerated destruction effects. If I received a direct hit, my magic would go wild, and I would weaken trying to regain control over it. Of course I'd avoid that. At that moment, Feldera's intuition felt that the breath attack had an ultimate skills effect added onto it. The analysis from Feldera's ultimate skill investigation King Faust had also confirmed this. While Feldera was surprised at being able to understand his own attack so well, Velgrind fired her next attack. And simultaneously moving at instantaneous speed, she occupied a position above Feldera. While evading the multiple simultaneous breath attacks, at some point, Feldera noticed that he was now confronting Velgrind from below. She's quick as always, thought Feldera. If it were the Feldera from before, he would have failed to notice her. On the other hand, Velgrind had already skillfully gained enough distance to deliver her knockout blow. At this distance, she could perfectly deal with Feldera, and was confident she could maintain her advantage. Let's end this, Feldera. In the end, you weren't able to escape from my clutches. Declaring this, multiple burning breaths were released simultaneously from above. Multiple columns of flame bound the heaven and earth. This was known as a flame cage. But, Feldera was able to see through the attacks, and splendidly evade them. Despite being ensnared in a flame cage, let alone a direct hit, he didn't suffer a single scratch. Kahahaha. If it doesn't hit, nothing happens, and that's how it is. Feldera gleefully shouted the words he had memorized by heart. TCH. An irritated Velgrind clicked her tongue. Certainly, to not be able to land a single strike at this stage was unpredicted. It was not as if she was underestimating Feldera. However, I was just warming up. She still possessed the absolute advantage. Velgrind decided to stop holding anything back, and end this in one go. Is that so? But you know, you've already fallen into my trap. I shall seal your movements with this, burning embrace. There was a reason Velgrind positioned herself above Feldera. Below them was the ocean. The burning breaths Feldera had dodged would naturally come into contact with the seawater and cause a steam explosion. Even with the force of the explosion, Feldera would never take damage. However, the evaporated seawater would become water vapor, and surround Feldera. Those would, infused with Velgrind's ability, become tiny red droplets of rain, and pour upwards. The cardinal cage used for capturing Feldera was, at that very moment, complete. The blessing of the ultimate skill Charity King Ragal. It could exponentially increase the thermal energy within the target, in other words, it was an ability that forcefully increased kinetic momentum. To a certain extent, it could boost physical capabilities, but going too far, would push bodily energy consumption over the limits. And, when the ability is at its greatest, it could accelerate heat production within the body, causing the body to burn into nothingness. In other words, it was an ability that could freely manipulate the energy composition of the target's body. As if to embrace Feldere, who's trapped in a cage, the Scarlet Rain gently generated a membrane around him. For those held within the burning embrace, their right to survival lied in the hands of Velgrind. The result was the same even for Feldere, who was true dragon similar to herself. Velgrind, who was certain of her victory, was about to order Major General XAM to fire the magic canceller but stopped. The imprisoned Feldere's presence had disappeared. What just happened? Velgrind felt perplexed at the rare feeling of losing her composure. Towards that Velgrind. Kahahaha. I told you earlier, didn't I? If it doesn't hit, nothing happens, and that's how it is. From behind, she heard the sound of Feldere's victorious laughter. In reality, Feldere didn't actually have much breathing room for him to be boasting that much. Right when the Cardinal Cage was on the verge of completion, the ultimate skill Investigation King Faust's danger precognition ability was sending a maximum danger warning. It wasn't something he could deal with in the spur of the moment by blowing it off with Storm of Ruination, that much was obvious. Crap. The instant he thought so, Investigation King Faust's investigation of truth had derived the optimal solution. To only use Storm of Ruination as it is, the chances of escape were less than 1%. However, by focusing the emission of Storm of Ruination, the result was Storm Blast, Roar of Ruination. As a result, it was derived that the odds of escape would greatly increase. But even so, the odds of escape via Storm Blast was merely 50%. This was where probability manipulation was activated. Against an enemy of the same rank, the probability would double on one's own favor. This escape act, which was supposed to have a 50-50 chance of success, now rolled in favor to Feldere thanks to Investigation King Faust. In this fashion, Feldere escaped from danger. Velgrind was awestruck in the truest sense of the word. Her little brother, Feldere, who she had viewed as inferior to herself, who she had looked down upon for his reliance on brute strength. In an absolutely unscapable situation, he had splendidly made his escape. She had no choice but to admit it. Feldere had reached her level. Velgrind acknowledged Feldere as an enemy of equal standing whom she would be confronting. This was the instant she decided to get serious. On the large screen, a decisive Kaguya battle was being projected. No, this was no joke, this was the only way to describe it. If it were only the Empire's airship fleet, then Feldere's victory was nothing to be worried about, but it was quite the surprise when the Crimson Dragon suddenly appeared. That was one of Feldere's elder sisters, probably Scorch Dragon Velgrind. However, despite the large clash of energy, the level of control was excellent, and it had become a very complicated battle. When Velgrind used a bold move, and it seemed the match was about to be immediately decided, I was worried that Feldere may have lost. Although, as it was possible to revive him even if he died, I was not that worried. It was only to the point where I ordered Wisdom Lord Raphael to map out their spatial coordinates. I was about to go save him with teleport, but then I remembered Feldere could be retrieved using my skill. Due to this recollection, I was able to spectate the battle in a relaxed manner. The battle had reached a stalemate. They were equal in speed. Feldere had a high level of control, allowing him to move at high speed. Even when against the fastest of the true dragons, Velgrind, he didn't lag behind a single step. The results of secretly training himself had surfaced. I couldn't determine this since sounds couldn't be reproduced, but I seriously wish he didn't start saying cool, boastful lines, and ended up in a pinch. That said, limited to what I saw, all in all Feldora had been starting to get the advantage. If you looked at strength alone, Feldora had the superiority. Although he was greatly weakened at one point due to being sealed, at present, he appeared to have completely recovered. Feldora's magic energy was above Velgrind, but it felt like his magic control was inferior. However, his skill, Investigation King Faust, seemed to have higher performance compared to that of Velgrind's. Well, it did seem like a well-rounded all-purpose skill. Frankly speaking, probability manipulation, investigation of the truth and sorts, aren't those hard-to-understand skills pretty broken? To be honest, once he masters those skills, could anyone even beat him? I thought it was at that level. Feldora's newly created move, the converged storm attack, Storm Blast, appeared to have inflicted damage on Velgrind. Traveling at an unavoidable speed using waves, the effect only manifested after a delay. In a word, they were invisible waves such as electromagnetic waves, and traveling at hypersonic speeds estimating to be over Mach 100, n, more like Mach 100,000. If the evasion timing was even slightly off, it was practically impossible to prevent the effects from the storm. After all, since you've already received the blow, it's impossible to dodge or defend. For goodness sake, he developed quite an unreasonable skill. As expected of Feldora, I thought with a bit of reverence. If this kept up, it'd be Feldora's victory, just as I was confident about this. The situation quickly took a turn towards the worst direction. Suddenly, the retreating Imperial airship fleet of 100 had begun to move. Overlooking them was a big blunder. Several individuals donning shining armor appeared on the bridge. With a barrier that completely defended against the effects of the storm, they leisurely walked forward. What's with those guys? As I was pondering this, it happened. The only man without armor, a man wearing a former Japanese Empire military uniform, fired his small handgun. For an instant I was at a loss for words. A bullet shouldn't have affected the strongest known as true dragons. However, I stiffened at that bullet's speed. It reached speeds on par with Feldora's roar, in other words, above Mach 100, and penetrated Feldora's body. Penetrating his body, the bullet released some kind of magic inside. Feldora stopped moving, and began to lash out in pain. Immediately after, the Cardinal Cage engulfed Feldora once more, and the 100 airships of the Aerial Fighter Legion activated Magic Canceller at maximum strength. All it took was a moment, for them to successfully seal Feldora's movements. The man donning a shining armor held up both hands towards Feldora. Right then, sharp pain assaulted my soul. As if they were ripping my soul out. Alert! Master, Rimuru, and individual, Feldora's soul corridor has been destroyed. Ultimate skill Storm King Feldora's Storm Dragon summoning Storm Dragon release is now unusable. Suddenly, I was notified the reason for my pain. What did you say? Are you saying they took Feldora from me? Feldora, from me? TN, Feldora x Rimuru anyone? He sounded like an anti-red girlfriend here XD. Don't fuck with me, damn it. A feeling of vehement loss, and one of intense rage simultaneously welled up inside me. Shin and Diablo, who were by my side, tried to hold me back in a rush. Please wait, Rimuru-sama. It's dangerous to go now. Shin's words didn't enter my ears. ILLFUCKINGKILLEM. With enraged thoughts, I shook off from their grasp, and stood up. There did not exist a single existence within Tempest who could restrain my strength unbounded by anger. Now you, the Empire, VE made me mad. As you wished, I shall grant it. The blessing named Annihilation. They had triggered my wrath. I, in my rage, teleported to Feldora.